Hello everyone, I am Farah Anjum from Sri Venkateshwara College of Engineering, Bangalore. The topic for the presentation is Input Output Management in Operating System from the course Operating System. In this presentation, we are going to see how the input output devices are managed in operating system. The contents of this presentation are what is an operating system, functions of operating system, the components of computer system, input output management, device controllers, communication to input output devices, device drivers, why input output management is important. First, what is an operating system? An operating system is a system software that manages computer hardware and software resources and provides common services for computer programs. In other words, it acts as an interface between the user of the computer and the computer hardware. For example, Windows, Linux, Android, iOS are the operating systems. Goals of the operating system: to execute the user programs and to make solving user problems easy, make the computer system convenient to use by all the users, use of computer hardware in an efficient manner. Functions of an operating system: memory management, device management, processor management, security, error detection, coordination between software and user, job accounting, file management, input output management, etc. Components of computer system. There are four components of computer system: computer hardware, operating system, application programs, and users. Computer hardware. It provides the basic resources, for example, CPU, memory, input output devices, etc. Operating system. It controls and coordinates the use of hardware among various applications and users. System and application programs. It defines the way in which the system resources are used to solve the computing problems of the users. For example, word processors, compilers, assemblers, text editors, database systems, etc. Users, for example, machines, people, and the other computers. Input output management. One of the important jobs of an operating system is to manage various input output devices, including mouse, keyboard, touchpad, disk drivers, display adapters, USB devices, etc. An input output system is required to take an application input output request and send it to the physical device, then take whatever response comes back from the device and send it to the application. Input output devices can be divided into two categories: block devices and character devices. Block devices. A block device is one with which the driver communicates by sending entire blocks of data. For example, hard disks, USB cameras, disk on key, etc. Character devices. A character device is one with which the driver communicates by sending and receiving single characters, bytes, or octets. For example, serial ports, parallel ports, sound cards, etc. Device controllers. Device drivers are often modules that can be plugged into an operating system to handle a particular device. Operating system takes help from device drivers to handle all the input output devices. The device controller works like an interface between a device and a device driver. Input output units like keyboard, mouse, printer, etc. typically consist of a mechanical component and an electronic component, where electronic component is called the device controller. There is always a device controller and a device driver for each device to communicate with the operating system. A device controller may be able to handle multiple devices. Any device connected to the computer is connected by a plug and socket, and the socket is connected to a device controller. Following is a model for connecting the CPU, memory, controllers, and the input output devices, where CPU and device controllers all use a common bus for communication. Communication to input output devices. The CPU must have a way to pass information to and from an input output device. There are three approaches available to communicate with the CPU and device. They are special instruction input output, memory mapped input output, direct memory access. Special instruction input output. This uses CPU instructions that are specifically made for controlling input output devices. These instructions typically allow data to be sent to an input output device or read from an input output device. Memory mapped input output. When using memory mapped input output, the same address space is shared by the memory and the input output devices. The devices is connect it directly to certain main memory locations so that input output device can transfer block of data to or from memory without going through the CPU. While using the memory mapped input output, operating system allocates buffer in memory and informs input output device to use that buffer to send data to the CPU. Input output device operates asynchronously with the CPU, interrupts CPU when finished. The advantage of this method is that every instruction which can access memory can be used to manipulate an input output device. Memory mapped input output is used for most high speed input output devices like disks, communication interfaces. Direct memory access. Slow devices like keyboards will generate an interrupt to the main CPU after each byte is transferred. If a fast device such as a disk generated an interrupt for each byte, the operating system would spend most of its time handling these interrupts. So, a typical computer uses direct memory access hardware to reduce this overhead. Direct memory access means CPU grants input output module authority to read or write to memory without involvement. DMA module itself controls exchange of data between main memory and the input output device. Direct memory access needs a special hardware called DMA controller that manages the data transfers and arbitrates access to the system bus. The controllers are programmed with source and destination pointers, counters to track the number of transferred bytes, and settings which includes input, output, and memory types, interrupts and states for the CPU cycles. Device drivers. Device drivers are software modules that can be plugged into an operating system to handle a particular device. Operating system takes help from device drivers to handle all input output devices. Device drivers encapsulate device dependent code and implement a standard interface in such a way that the code contains device specific register, read or writes. Device drivers is generally written by the device's manufacturer and delivered along with the device on a CD-ROM. A device driver performs the following jobs: to accept requests from the device independent software above it, interact the device controller to take and give input output, and perform required error handling, making sure that the request is executed successfully. At last, we will see why input output management is important in operating system. It helps in improving system performance, it ensures fairness among processes, it helps in reducing response time, it optimizes resource utilization. Thank you for watching the video.